everybody, you're watching Michigan Farmer 421. I'm Clyde, and today we are going to be upgrading a alternator on a 2006 Ford F-250 6.0 Powerstroke. 6.0! Okay, so this 6.0 here has a battery light that has turned on, okay? And that indicates that the alternator is not charging to 12 volts. Usually. This truck has two new batteries about a month ago, so assuming the batteries aren't shot, which we did use a battery tester to check them, it is the alternator. Now, some 6.0 Powerstrokes come with dual alternator systems to where you have one alternator here and there's another alternator down in here. This truck does not have that. It just has a single alternator, so that kind of eases the work a little bit. So we have taken off the belt off the alternator already. And we just used a ratchet and a belt tensioner, and the belt tensioner has a locking clip on it. Diesel Tech Ron has a video on all about those locking mechanisms on the alternators and different methods how to do them. I recommend you go check that out so I don't have to explain it. We already have the belts off, and now I have already cracked loose these free 13mm bolts. So we'll take these off. You're also supposed to disconnect the ground, so we will do that as well on both batteries. And then we will pull out the alternator and get the new one out of the box and put it on. So here we go. Okay, we have the alternator off the truck here. I believe this is a CarQuest remanufactured one. And assuming the truck is a 2006, it's probably 9 years or so old if you split the math in two since it's 2022. But as you can see, it spins really easy. It's a little wore out. So we have decided to go to a bigger alternator, like a 240 amp. This alternator is made in the USA from the folks at Tucson Alternator Exchange in Tucson, Arizona, home of the Pure Power alternators. This thing is a 240 amp alternator. It's a big boy. So it comes with a 4-pin to 3-pin adapter for the 6.0 Powerstrokes and a bigger terminal. Now, since we are creating 240 amps instead of 110, 120, 135, whatever this is, I'll have to look at the number, we kind of need to upgrade the wiring, because if we have the same wiring, it's not going to use all that 240 amps to the batteries, because only so much electricity you could throw through that wire. So we have also opted to upgrade with some bigger terminal wires. So these will go from the alternator to the battery. This is a 300 amp fuse block in here. So we'll kind of, if it overcharges, it will prevent meltdown, but it's 240, so we should be good there. So this will go from the alternator to the battery, but we're also going to keep the other wire that was on there before, because it goes right to the ECM, Thickum, and whatever. So we kind of want to make sure that we keep those power supply. We're not eliminating any wires, we're just adding some. And then since we are also producing 240 volts, we will be also upgrading our ground to engine block cable. Now this one's probably going to go from the battery post, which was what it says here, to the engine block, which will either be the alternator or under the alternator. Probably not under the alternator, but probably on top. So all this stuff is available at Tucson Alternator Exchange in Tucson, Arizona. They did not sponsor this video, but I do like the way they have shipped my alternator here. It is nice and painted red like we ordered, custom ordered, so you can get them any color that they have there. So we're going to get this bad boy slapped on the truck, and we're going to also see if we need to change our belt size, because the pulleys are different. So yeah, so here we go. Okay, we got this alternator back installed in the truck here. Here, I'll push down this boost tube so you can see, I hope. So we got the alternator back in. All 3 bolts are tightened in. They are 13 millimeters. 13 millimeter bolt heads. We put our belt on, and it seems like there's still tension and that it's tight, so we will not need to get a shorter belt size. We already got our ground connected to the bolt on this side, and then now we are going to connect our ground either to the battery post, or I'm now seeing pictures online, they have it attached to the fender side. Now really, I don't know which way. I mean, obviously to the battery is going to be better for the engine and everything, but yeah, I'll decide how we want to run it and whether we'll put it on either side or so later. So now we're going to have to change our terminal size, I believe, on our, or we'll drill it out. I think we'll drill it out a little bit. We only need a quarter or so to get that. Drill this out, put it on here on top of our new cable that we're going to install. So I'm going to go get all that around, and we'll go from there. Alright, so we got our cable ran. I'm just trying to find the right socket behind you guys. Up 5/16, perfect. And now we're going to mount our fuse block to the side of our fender. We just want to be very careful here not to hit anything. I'm going to pull my sheet over so I don't scratch up the truck. Alright, so we're going to just pop this cover off to get it out of the way. And we're going to just make sure that everything fits and clears. The shocks sit on top of here so we do not have to worry about the shocks. So we're going to just do this here, and it looks good right there. So we're going to get our self-tappers. That's what I'm going to use. Some people might use other things. But we're going to just get it on our 5/16 self-tapper here. Get our impact, put it on forward, and just, whoa! Gotta move down there. Alright, there we go. And just snug it up. We don't need it super tight. It's not holding anything. And now, I'm going to put one in on the other side. Right about here. Snug is just like the other one. Alright, and now that is installed. Now we got to make sure we attach our battery post. It's right here, and then the alternator wires. Oh, we also got to install our ground, which we got to put right, we're going to put right here, because there's a picture on the internet and it looks like it works right there. And then we'll zip tie everything up and put our negative terminals back on and fire it up. So here we go.
Drop the bass.
Watch me.
Alright, we have our installation complete here on the alternator. We have our wires all nice and zip tied up. Our fuse block right here, stuck around and tied to the bottom of our terminal. These 2 wires just go to my battery maintainer, because it does get cold here in Michigan, and sometimes we don't start our trucks for a bit, and we'll just use a maintainer to juice them up. Anyway, and then one goes to my CB radio there on the dash. Alright, so we're going to fire this truck up, and I believe I have all my tools out of the way, and we'll not see what happens. We'll see it run, I guess. I'm just gonna let it run here for a couple of minutes. Just keep my eyes on things, make sure the belt stays on the pulleys and stuff, make sure there's no fires or anything smoking. Always monitor things, don't just let it go along. And then we're gonna shut it off and we'll go from there. Alright, I let the truck run for a little bit, and I was kind of wondering of how hot an alternator would get. So doing some research, anything doing work will get hot, is the science behind it. But alternators usually get between 120 and 140, and kind of feeling it, I think it's about there. I was hoping it wasn't overheating, but I don't think it would. So yeah, so we got her installed, and she's good. So that is how you upgrade an alternator on a 6.0 Powerstroke. And now taking the tag off the alternator, it actually really wants you, or requires you to get the battery cable kit, because it doesn't want to overcharge that wire system, and you know, so yeah. So with that, we are done with the project, and that is going to be the end of this video. If you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and yeah, so we will see you in the next one. Peace.